All right, Hooday, and what is up, Bengals fans? Merry Christmas Eve. It has been a while since I've done a little live. My wife's texting me. I'm actually, right now, super excited. It's the morning on Christmas Eve. Nobody's going to be at my office. We got childcare, and my wife and I are going to start our year-end annual planning, which I get really excited about. So we're going to review 2021 this year and then start kind of dreaming and setting some goals for 2022. If you've never done that with your wife, I highly recommend it. If you ever want to do that, I can drop some links in the comments below or in the description later on some guides and some different techniques I've used over the years. We've been doing this for like 12 years now, and I've always been amazed with goal setting. Sorry to get off on a little tangent here before we talk about the Bengals and Joe Burrow. We are going to talk about that. It's been a few weeks since I've talked about the Bengals, so I wanted to pop on here on the drive into the office and just say hooday and connect with my Bengals fans out there. But we've been doing goal setting for 12 years, and we've probably done it badly for like 9 of those 12 years, like not knowing what we're doing. But I've been amazed at just the process of going through, thinking forward, aiming for something, writing it down. Even if we never looked at that document until the next year end, which happened lots of times, I was amazed at the percentage of times we met like 40, 50, 60% of these goals. And just powerful. So to be able to think through where you're at and think through where you want to head to. I watched The Legend of the Ten Rings with my kids this week, and there was a line in it that I loved. There's the kind of sidekick, comedic relief character. I think her name was Katie, maybe? I'm not really sure. But she found herself in this adventure and then found herself as one of the archers in this epic battle at the end. And her instructor and this old wise lady said, if you aim for nothing, you'll hit nothing. And I'm like, bingo. And I like paused it. I love watching movies with my kids when I can pause it and be like, did you get that? Or what do you think? And we can talk about it a little bit. A lot of times there's junk in movies and entertainment, but a lot of times there's some gold. So Marvel, you got that one right. And anyway, I'm excited this morning. I'm caffeinated, if you can't tell, and am going to go do some goal setting with my wife. Let's talk Bengals. Okay, from the thumbnail, whatever, there's a, I don't know. There's the Joe Burrow story, if you haven't seen this, where he said, essentially, the Bengals have done good on COVID because there's nothing to do in Cincinnati. And he said it kind of jokingly. You could tell he was like laughing about it. But I did a little series a couple of years ago. I kind of ran out of time, but I just like on these reviews every week, I had a fun time doing the idea was the national media hates Cincinnati, which is true. The national media loves to crap on Cincinnati, and they just take so much joy in it. I don't know. It's like a bully who likes picking on little kids. And the problem with that for most Cincinnatians, I think I've grown out of this. So I want to help you Bengals fans out there who are worried about there being nothing to do in Cincinnati. So the truth of that is, yeah, like I've talked about this on a lot of my videos in terms of the real estate and the city of Cincinnati in general. It's like, yeah, we don't have an ocean. We don't have mountains. We don't have like New York and LA nightclubs. Like we don't have a lot of the amenities that some of the bigger cities have. We don't have a huge population. And I think Cincinnatians, it's really important that you don't try to be those things. Like for you to not take offense at this, but embrace it. Because I was listening to Paul Dehner Jr. on this. He had a take on it because lifelong Cincinnatian like I am. And if you follow the Bengals, you know Paul Dehner Jr. Writes for The Athletic and is my personal favorite journalist when it comes to following the Bengals, because basically we're like the same dude. So I just like listening to myself, I think. What's going on with the lighting here? But excuse me, Paul Dehner Jr. He tried to make a defense for Cincinnati, and he was like, basically, if you don't live here, you don't know what we have to offer. Which are what did he mention? He mentioned the arts. He mentioned the park scene. He mentioned his big one was like the culinary scene and the drink scene. So, kind of the breweries and distilleries. He would stack that up against other. And yeah, I think all that stuff is really good. But I don't actually think that's the primary thing that the benefit of Cincinnati is. I think the benefit of Cincinnati, if you live here, is what I've talked about in other videos, which is this is the place you go if you want to raise a family. And to a bunch of 20-year-old NFL players, 20-somethings, yeah, it's not the most exciting place to be, right? Like, if you guys remember when Jamar Chase was drafted and Burrow tried to convince him to be here, he was like, okay, sure. And his first interview, after he got to tour around town a little bit, they asked him, hey, what do you think about Cincinnati, Jamar? Pro Bowl earner Jamar Chase, by the way. Who day? Man, that was awesome. And Jamar said, yeah, I thought Cincinnati was just going to be a bunch of land. That's what Jamar Chase said. And I made a video on that where I just thought it was a hilarious concept that our number one draft pick was just thought that Cincinnati had nothing but miles of empty land. And I think that's the perception nationally, right? And I think Burrow actually was, when you see him smirk in that comment, I think Burrow actually knows. So I'm just saying, Bengals fans, don't try to defend Cincinnati as this hip place. It's not. We're not going to compete in hipness to other cities in the country. Embrace Cincinnati for what it is, which is affordable, family-oriented. It's got solid work ethic. There's a embodiment of the Charlie Hustle mindset, I think, in Cincinnati. Good old Pete Rose, and people who put their nose down, are humble, work hard, maybe gambled a little too much, but we're not LA, we're not Chicago, we're not New York, we're not Miami, we're not Austin, Texas, we're Cincinnati. And I, in the past, used to get really upset when the national media slights us, and now I just kind of laugh because I'm like, you don't know. I love this city. I love raising my kids in the city. My wife, we were on a date this week, and she was like, what city would you want to live in? And I honestly am like, I love this city. As I kind of talk through the characteristics, she's like, oh, you want something that's cool, but just kind of under the radar. I was like, yeah. And, whoa, cool. Flock of geese flying right outside my window with me. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I would show you, but I don't want to crash. That's beautiful. I'm right now driving alongside the beautiful Ohio River. I love this drive to work. It's Christmas Eve morning, and I'm going to do some planning with my wife. So, Bengals fans, just embrace it as a badge of honor, is my point. Embrace the fact that we're going to get crapped on. Don't try to, to try to make a defense and be like, no, we're not, I just think it's a battle you're never going to win. Let me say this, even if we go to the playoffs, even if we win the division, even if we win a playoff game, even if we win a conference title, even if we win a Super Bowl, you know what's going to happen? They're going to crap on the Bengals. It's in their blood. They like to kick around flyover country cities. It's just whatever. New Yorkers and LA people, they have a superiority complex. We have an inferiority complex. It's just kind of the way the world works. So I'm going to say again what I said several weeks ago about this Bengal season is just enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. We've got an amazing quarterback. We've got a fun, enjoyable young team. And whether we make the playoffs or not, this has been a fun year. It's just been a fun year to watch. View it as entertainment. Don't view it as your identity. That's the point I'm trying to make here. Like, if you are trying to make the Bengals your identity, you're going to be disappointed. You need to root your identity in other things that matter more than a professional football team. And I say this as someone who desperately and badly want the Bengals to go to the playoffs, to win playoff games. I want that justification too, but I can't base my identity in that because I'm going to be disappointed in the end. I have to base my identity in other things, which are my faith, my family, and yeah, those two things really. And so, and I see sports for what they are, which is a pursuit of perfection, aiming at a target. To the earlier point of the conversation, you got to aim for something. And sports are fun, and we cheer and dare I say worship our sports teams because we want to hit the target. That's what all sports are. You're trying to hit a target. A touchdown is hitting the target. A three-pointer is hitting the target. A home run is hitting the target. A birdie or an eagle is hitting the target. Like, every single sport is watching humanity try to aim and hit the target. And we get sucked into that because there's something in us that wants to do more, that wants to hit the target. So enjoy sports for that. So there's my philosophy for the morning. Let's talk about the last few weeks. I haven't been able to talk about these losses because we got the COVIDs, people. We had the COVIDs, and it started with my 4-year-old daughter. And my 4-year-old daughter is very loving and does not have any self-control. And so it brushed through Team Sztanyo like a wildfire. All seven of us got COVID. It was not Omicron. It was not a light variant. We got Delta. We all had it. We're all bounced back now. It is 3 weeks after since we got it, but I couldn't do the last Bengals recaps because I was in bed, couldn't, whatever. It's not a fun sickness, but I'm kind of glad that we got it all past us. But anyway, it happens. I'm in a way happy that we all got it and now we're all past it. So, the Chargers loss. I'm trying to remember the turnovers. Oh, yes. That was the Joe Mixon fumble game. That was I think, Chase. Oh, yeah. I'm remembering. The Chase crazy interception, right? Well, there was a mix. Burrow fumble. The Chase would have been touchdown, but turned into an interception. And then the amazing comeback. And then the fumble by Mixon when we were about to take the lead. That was a sad game. I continue to say the Bengals, I think, can beat any team in the league. We saw that with the Packers. We saw that with the trouncing of the Browns and the Ravens back when they weren't so decimated by. No. I'm sorry, we didn't beat the Browns, but the Ravens, the Steelers. We can beat any team. We can also lose to any team. So after that, the 49ers game, the Darius Phillips fumbles game. Again, good resiliency. We can beat any team. That was a good team. Our depth is getting tested a little bit, but we're still relatively healthy compared to other teams. So we got the Ravens, and then last week, the Broncos game. Now, the Broncos game, my friends were saying, Mr. Duber was saying, that was a really boring game. And it was. But I was actually really happy and excited that they won that boring game in the way that they did because they knew what they needed to do. They knew that defense was going to be solid, and they protected the football. I was so weirdly excited to see Joe Burrow slide 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage for a sack to run out the clock at the end of the game, and see him throw it away, and see him make smarter decisions. Because I think the lesson has landed with him that if we don't turn it over, we win. And so going into these last 3 games, going into a playoff run, that's a big lesson for your second-year quarterback to have. Your second-year quarterback who thinks and has the confidence to make any play, right? And when you look at the 4th and 5 play in the Niners game, you're like, that dude can make any play, and he can. But to like kind of be on that nice edge, and sometimes and know when to go for it and know when to slide behind the line of scrimmage. That's some maturity and experience needed in the NFL. So I'm excited about that. So Ravens this week, guys, I think we're going to win by 2 scores. I'm actually not that concerned about this because they're so decimated from an injury and a COVID standpoint now. My biggest fear about the Ravens game is how many guys get COVID for us. But I said a few weeks ago to my friends, we're going to win the Broncos, we're going to win the Ravens, we're going to lose to the Chiefs, we're going to beat the Browns, and we win the division. That's my call. I'm sticking to it. It's possible that the Browns have nothing to play for when we go and play them in Week 18. So I'm excited. It's Christmas, and the Bengals are in first place in the AFC North, albeit that doesn't really mean anything. We've got to take care of business in the division. But it's still kind of fun to say we're in first place. And so that Broncos game was great. I see my wife driving up right now. It's time for me to do some annual planning. Who Dey Bengals fans, Merry Christmas. Enjoy this Ravens game. And thanks for following and subscribing. My wife is so beautiful. And I will talk to you guys later.